Welcome to my review of the Samsung Galaxy K Zoom. This is a beautiful device with a 4.8-inch screen. We will also compare it with the CM1 by Panasonic, which I have here in background, for example, and the Apple iPhone 6 just inside. Not the camera, because of course this is not even the same price range. Also not with the Lumix. It costs between $200-300 right now here in February, this Samsung Galaxy K Zoom, but it was released actually last June. And I got it in August, I think, and I had it with me on almost all the festivals I can think of in Hungary, as far as I know. So this really had a few, made a few memories. And you can see it also here on the bottom that we have, for example, already here on the silver, which is actually plastic chrome design here, some color missing, which is alright because it's still working. There is no little scratches on the front screen, which is Gorilla Glass 3, has an HD display, but more about that in a second. Let's just go around the device a little bit, where you will find here, for example, on the side, the microSD card slot, where I have a microSD also right now inside. Internally, there is only 8 gigs of memory, so you should definitely get a 32 gig microSD. They're already available for $10 here in Germany, for example, online in special deals. Then you have here a strap little holder. On the bottom you have your micro USB port and a microphone hole. On the other side you have your camera button, on and off switch, volume rocker, and on the top, of course, you need a 3.5mm jack, and there's also already a microphone on the top. On the back you will see here the speaker, the huge lens, which has a 10 times optical zoom, and that's why this device is actually this thick and bulky, you could say. It weighs 200 grams, but there's a lot of glass here inside the lens, so that's why. We have a 444mm lens with aperture 3.1 to 6.3 and a 24mm, as you can see it here, wide angle lens. Then we have a real xenon light, and here the little LED that will help the camera to focus, just a Samsung logo, and you can actually take off the back cover, and then you will see the interchangeable battery, which fell out a few times when I dropped the camera, and the lens was even out, and it still worked afterwards. I just popped in back the battery, put back on the back cover, turned it on, and then it was working. You can see also here a little bit of dust inside because I haven't been using it for a month now. But yeah, 2340 milliamp battery, interchangeable, lasts you really through 1.5 days easy if you use it really a lot. Not only for photo taking, but if you just use it with as a main smartphone for chatting and browsing the web and everything, it will work quite nicely 1.5 days with a lot of photos and videos, maybe a whole day, but that's also a lot more than most of the other cameras can do. 2 megapixel camera on the front. I actually haven't mentioned this is 20 or 16 if you shoot 16:9. And we have, of course, here the Android button or the home button. In the middle you have here your last apps and the back button, and the Android 4.4.2 installed. So still KitKat, not the latest Lollipop. I'm not sure if it gets a Lollipop update, but you can see here it's this way quite fast. We have the Exynos 5210, I think, processor inside. No, 5260 with the Mali T624 GPU, and actually this is a quad-core and a dual-core processor in one, and has 2 gigs of RAM, and I already mentioned the 8 gigs of internal memory. So we're already able to see that we have a status LED here on the top and a sensor, and you can also see that there's not too many apps pre-installed. This is actually all it by Google, and then we have a few by Samsung here on the bottom dropped in, and actually these 3 are the ones that I pre-installed, and this is for Germany, some kind of printing app for if you want to print maybe some pictures after you shot them. GPS, Bluetooth 4.0, of course, all built in, dual band, Wi-Fi direct, and so on and so on. Nothing special there. And even MHL 1.3 is supported. So before we go into the camera, you can see here that browser is quite fast. Keyboard also, so for everyday task, totally enough. You can also see here a few apps open. Let me close those so you guys can see a little bit better how the performance is, like the camera and the video player and so on. So if I just hit the camera button now, what will happen is the lens will come out right away, and you can shoot a picture in about 2 seconds, and then you can really start shooting, and you can see here the little light happening in the background That's the focus light, and I can just shoot a picture like that. And I'm actually in auto mode right now, so it thought, okay, we need a flash right now, so it used the flash. But what you can also do is, of course, zoom, and then the lens will come out. So let me actually just zoom like this, and then you will see the lens moving in the background. And you can zoom up to 10 times. And then this is what you will see, just a picture of a little flower right there, which probably I can't focus because I'm really too close to shoot this flower here. You can't even see it, this flower right there, here from this far away. But let me try, maybe it works. There it is. Nope, still too close, so we can just zoom out here a little bit. Maybe 5 times zoom, and that's totally enough. Afterwards you can still, from a 20 megapixel picture, just cut out here the nice little flower, and then maybe that should be enough. Now this is of course again not sharp. Let's try that again with a 3 times zoom, and here we go. You can of course turn off the flash if you don't want it, and you have of course all kinds of other options too, like here in movie you can say you want 60 frames, 30 frames in full HD. You can set the size from the picture size from 4:3 to 16:9, so you can see here the full size of the picture here and the full size of the screen. What you can also do is zoom by hitting the volume buttons, which is a little bit easier, or just use here, as you can see, when the volume buttons appear. When the volume buttons appear here, you can zoom here on the screen. So let's see what picture we shot here with the flash. I don't think this looks the best, but you can see really all kinds of really amazing details here in 20 megapixels, and even the little ladybug. So what else? Of course, what we need is a front camera also for selfies, which doesn't have a flash. It's a little bit sad since this is a camera phone, but I think it will shoot a picture once I smile automatically, but I hope not. So we can see here in quite nice little details, and again here full HD possible with 30 frames, and 2 megapixels are the max. But you can also see here that there's a lot of details here on the bottom, for example, for my camera that you can read on the GH4 and the Lumix also. So this is really a nice front camera, but with the bad light, because it's actually night right now and I just have some lights here on, you can see that there is a lot of noise in the background, which is a little bit sad. If I just take a picture, I think it will try to take out the noise, but there's still a lot of noise, I think. But it's totally readable if you want. So just flip that to the back again, then the lens will come out again, and it works really quite nicely. And actually there's a few modes that you can do. Like for example, program, beauty, shot and more, panorama, you know those. HDR is also really handy a lot of times. Selfie alarm and continuous shot. And you can also say manage modes, and you can add even more, which is really good, that you don't have to browse through all of these all the time. Surround shot, for example, really nice. And yeah, but what's not that great is that you can't download more on this one actually, but Pro Suggest is quite handy because it will go through all the modes, not just the ones you enabled, and you can say you want to add maybe a film, like for example I want Gothic color, which would mean that now all the reds are red and everything else is a little bit grayed out, which is quite nice. But you can also hit the info button, and then it will give you a little bit of an information about before and after what you can expect. You see everything that the camera sets, and then you can download a few more films if you want that. And most of them are, as you can see, made by Samsung. And while it happened, actually the camera turned on and off. And you can also turn this on and off if you don't want it, and it tells you again some things here on the bottom. So that's almost all about the camera, almost, because what I want to show you is what a camera smartphone like the CM1 with a 2x optical zoom and a huge sensor can do with its camera. So as you can see, I already have the camera open, and that's the difference here. So the wide angle is about the same on both phones. I would say the Samsung is a little bit better with wide angle. But I think the colors are maybe nicer, or actually the sharpness is nicer on the Panasonic Lumix CM1. but it costs between 700 and 1,000 euros because of the metal case. And it's not even waterproof, but you have really professional settings on this one. And the picture is also, I think, a little bit more stable if you move the camera around. But as I said, there's a lot bigger sensor inside the CM1, and I will actually do a comparison video in detail with both of them. So again, enough about that. Let's go out and show you guys a little bit what Entity says about the hardware of the device. So if you go here into the ranking, you can see that we should be around the S5, but it actually doesn't even say it. It said it before, after we finished the benchmark. Interesting. It had 59,000 or 49 or 39. Wait, actually, let me check. 39,500 points. You can check my German video actually about that. So it was right under the S5. But I don't know why it didn't save anyhow. So as you can see, it would be right here between the Mi 3 and the S5, which means it's not that much slower than an M8 or Mate 7, but for example, faster than Nexus 5, and it is actually a cheaper phone. But enough about numbers. Who cares about numbers if you can just really game a little bit? Let's try here, for example, a racing game called CSR Gaming or CSR Racing. Takes a little bit till it loads, but we have 2 GB of RAM inside here, which are actually quite fast. It doesn't seem like it right now, but you can quite quickly just start here the racing. Whatever, I don't care which car. Buy. Achievement unlocked. Next. And go race. So just look on the car, how really nice the graphics are. And as you can see, I won, which is actually not that important, but what's more important is that the graphics are really nice, games don't load that long, and on the HD screen everything looks really quite sharp, even though this is not full HD and it's a 4.8 inch size. 4.8 inch means we have 4.7 actually on the new iPhone 6. This is not the 6 Plus, this is the 6, and I know, as I said, I have here the case around it, but who cares? This has 4.7 versus 4.8, about the same resolution, a little bit more on the iPhone, but it's smaller. But you can see that the smartphone is actually bigger, the iPhone 6, and of course not as thick as the K Plus, but that's because, of course, here we have the huge lens inside, which has that 10 times optical zoom. So thank you much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe. My name is Balázs. This was the Samsung Galaxy K Zoom in a full review. I hope you liked it. If you want to have more information about it, just check out the Samsung site or maybe the Amazon link here in the bottom link below. So thank you much for tuning in. My name is Balázs again, and don't forget to subscribe.